in Orlando with us, and we also have Donald Trump on the phone. Mr. Trump, thank you for joining us. We wanted to get your reaction to all of this.
Well, there's nothing like what's going on right now. There's never been anything to this extent where we have people, we don't know who they are. There's no uniforms involved. It's war. It's absolute war, but we don't have uniforms. We don't know who it is. We don't know where they're coming from. But we have a pretty good idea, and as a country, we don't do anything about it. And we better get smart, or it's only going to get worse.
Mr. Trump, you called on the President of the United States to resign because we're going to play his soundbite. Here's what he had to say yesterday about the attack.
Is therefore a further reminder of how easy it is for someone to get their hands on a weapon that lets them shoot people in a school or in a house of worship or a movie theater or in a nightclub. And we have to decide if that's the kind of country we want to be.
So, Mr. Trump, the president called for more gun controls. He also said it was terror, and he said it was a hate crime, but he did not say it was Islamic terrorism. And for that reason, you say he should quit.
He doesn't get it, or he gets it better than anybody understands. It's one or the other, and either one is unacceptable, number one. And number two, calling on another gun ban. I mean, this man has no clue. First of all, the shooter was licensed, so he went through all the procedures. He was fully licensed to have a gun, so he would have passed the test that the president would have thrown up there. It's so ridiculous. This is a mentality. This is a state. And you have thousands of shooters like this with the same mentality out there in this country. And we're bringing thousands and thousands of them back into this country and into the country every year. We're allowing them to come into the country.
You mean refugees?
I'm talking about people coming in from Syria where we have no idea who they are. We have no idea as to paperwork, as to where they came from. This could be the all-time great Trojan horse. This could be, the legend of the Trojan horse. This could actually be it. I used to say it with a smile. I used to say maybe, is it possible at the very early stages? And the more I'm, thinking, of course, a thing like that could never happen. I'm starting to think it can happen because our politicians are so inept and so incapable, and our leadership, especially at the top, is just, they don't know what they're doing. And we're allowing people to come into our country that are no different than this maniac, which I don't know how many people are going to end up dying from this, but no different than this maniac that just did this to us yesterday.
So, Mr. Trump, you say that the president should resign, and you say Hillary Clinton, if she can't say it, she should just bow out of the race?
She's a weak person. She's weak on so many different levels. I just see where the Secret Service agent said she should never be president. He called her almost like a maniac. She is not the right person, especially in these times. These are times where you need solidity, where you need you need smart. Right. You have to have smart, but you need something so much different than her. She's just following his exact line. She won't utter the words either radical Islam. She won't even utter the words. He won't utter the words. Unless you know the words and unless you know what's going on, you're never going to solve the problem.
Brian?
So, Donald Trump, this is Brian Kilmeade, and by the way, we just watched a Tahoe pull up with flashing lights. That could be the FBI coming right down the block, and we'll see, and then they'll walk over to my left, so I'll interrupt myself and tell you to go to the press conference live. But yesterday, we understand, Donald Trump, the imam from the Islamic Center of Fort Pierce said where Mateen spent some of his time, the would-be killer. He said there are a lot of positive effects from a potential Donald Trump presidency. The imam said he didn't think Trump would be as scary for Muslims as people think. What's your reaction to that?
I think he's right. I know Muslims, and I think I've been given a bad rap, but I did call for a ban. We can't let people from Syria in, and I'm all for helping with safe zones in Syria and building and, where people can live. We can't have it in our country, Brian. Something's going on, whether it's in the religion, whether it's outside of the religion. It's not maybe for us to know right now, but we can't allow thousands, and I don't mean thousands, tens of thousands of people are pouring into our country, and many of them are no different than this guy yesterday who created this horrible act.
Well, Donald, let me ask you follow up with that. If you think that they're trying to hit soft targets, they're not trying to take on our military, they can't and survive. So if they're going to hit soft targets, what's your message to the American people about going to clubs, about going to the beaches, about going to these major events, to Disney down the road? Where does Donald Trump find the balance?
Well, you go, and you don't let them disrupt you. You just have to go, and you have to be brave. But we have to be very strong with our military, with our security. We have to be extremely strong. We have to be very strong in terms of looking at the mosques, you know, which a lot of people say, oh, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. We're beyond that. Brian, that man yesterday was sick with hate. You have many, many people, thousands of people already in our country that are sick with hate. And people that are around him, Muslims, know who they are, largely. They know who they are. They have to turn them in. They know who they are. They see them. Like in the case of San Bernardino, there were bombs all over the floor. Many people saw the bombs. Those bombs weren't there as play toys, and they could have been reported long before San Bernardino took effect. Nobody's reporting these people.
Now, Mr. Trump, we've traveled across the country asking people covering the primaries why you're their favorite pick, why you became the nominee, and they're all saying because you're not politically correct. You say what's on your mind. But when you talk to individuals and you ask them, why wasn't this guy caught? Many people said they saw the red flags. They were just scared because of political correctness to come forward and call the cops on this guy. What's your message now for America, who has been so fearful because they didn't want to be called Islamophobic?
They have to report these people. These people are out there. Many, many people are out there with worse intentions than what this guy had. Worse. And they're out there. And people in his community and their community, they know who the people are. In some cases, they're married to them. But they know who these people are. Almost in every case, they know who they are. They brag about it. They talk about it. Other people know. Yep. People knew that this guy was going to create a bad act. They have to turn him in. If they don't turn him in, we are never going to be able to get along. It's going to be an impossible situation.
Donald Trump, ISIS Radio put out a statement that this particular shooter, Omar Mateen, who the deadliest mass shooter in American history, he was a soldier of the caliphate in America. So they're saying the caliphate now extends into the United States. And we have talked a little bit about that in the past. But given the fact that they have struck us here, should there be a military response overseas?
Yes, there should. We have to really increase the bombing. But you just said something that's even more amazing. ISIS radio. How do we allow them to have radio? Think of it. How do we allow them to have radio? Now, with radio, you know where the signals are coming from. It's not hard to find out where the signals are coming from. How do we allow them to have radio? They have a radio station where they say what they're going to be doing, and they give great praise to people that did acts like what happened yesterday. It's inconceivable that you could make a statement like that where we're talking about ISIS radio.
Sure, and a lot of this is also on the internet. They can broadcast over the internet, and you can't tell where it's coming from.
Right.
But
well, we ought to knock out their internet capability. And, you know, I've heard people, liberals, saying, oh, we can't do that. We're talking about freedom of speech. How could you do that? You're stopping speech. And we're talking about ISIS. I mean, it's the most incredible thing. We have to knock out their internet capability.
Okay, that's one thing on the list. But what about the military strike? Where would you strike overseas?
I'd strike, well, you know, they know. We have generals, and I've been with them, and I've talked to them. We have generals that feel we can win this thing so fast and so strong, but we have to be furious for a short period of time, and we're not doing it. I mean, I said go after the oil, hit the oil. They announce when they're going to hit the oil because they want the people to leave their trucks. I mean, the whole thing is so ridiculous. Can you imagine General Patton saying, please get out of your trucks because we're going to start dropping bombs in 1 hour? This is the way we fight.
Donald Trump.
We're led by a fool.
So you're saying when you're saying after 9/11, we knew it hit to Afghanistan. That's where Al Qaeda is. After this, you're saying since it's ISIS inspired, they're taking credit for it. Are you saying hit Raqqa right now?
Well, we're going to have to start thinking about something because we cannot continue to let this go forward. And we have to also, look, the problem is we have thousands of people right now in our country. Forget about coming in. You know, we talked the ban. And the ban, obviously, should be put in place with respect to people coming in from Syria, etc. We're talking ban. But right now you have thousands of people in this country. And, you know, you have people that were born in the country, like him and others,
right.
but you have people that are born in the country that become radicalized. There's something going on. And we have to find out who these people are. They're already in the country. You know,
Right.
forget it. Number one, we have to stop. No more Syrians coming in. We don't know who they are. We don't have paperwork. We don't have anything. And, you know, as far as passports are concerned, as you know, ISIS took over our passport machines. They
Yeah.
make passports now better than we do.
Yep.
So
Mr.
we can't
Trump-
even do that anymore. You know, somebody
Right.
would say they don't have a passport. But we have to hit very hard. We have to hit very strong. And we have thousands of people in our country. We have to find out who they are and fast.
Well, what about, is this the failure of the FBI? I know they do great work, but the FBI was notified that he had a link to a guy who was a suicide bomber in Vero Beach, and he had gone overseas to the Middle East. He had been trained. He came back here to recruit individuals for ISIS, and one of those individuals that he tried to recruit went to the FBI. So the FBI investigated this shooter several times, and he still got away with it. He was on lists. The FBI had him red flagged, and he still got his hands on these guns. He went in and you know,
He wants
injured-
security.
Right.
Well, I'm a big fan of the FBI, but certainly this does not make them look good. And they had him under surveillance a couple of times, and it didn't work out. It's not easy, okay? It's not easy, but we have to be very strong. I mean, the sad part is you have many, many, many people right now living in the United States who are worse than him, who are more hateful than him. And people know who they are. Mostly it's Muslim people, but they know who they are. They have to turn them in.
So Donald Trump, just one thing, right over my shoulders to the right, if you can see all the way down, we're blocked by a few poles. They're beginning to gather in a huddle, and they're going to shortly be walking over to my immediate left, come behind me, and over to these microphones. But Donald Trump, you're getting some backlash over one tweet that you put out. You said, appreciate the congratulations for being right on radical Islamic terrorism. I don't want congrats. I want toughness and vigilance. We must be smart. People are critical of that because you're congratulating yourself. Do you want to expound on that?
No. I'm getting thousands of letters and tweets that I was right about the whole situation. I mean, I've been right about a lot of things, frankly. I was right about take the oil. I was right about many, many things. I was right about NATO with terrorism. Did you see last week on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, they're going to start a whole terrorism division, and it's because of me. NATO was obsolete. It's exactly what I said. I've been right about a lot of things. I don't want congratulations. I said, what am I doing? I don't want congratulations. What I want them to do is be tough and vigilant. Our government, we're led by a man that is a
Right.
We're led by a man that either is not tough, not smart, or he's got something else in mind. And the something else in mind, you know, people can't believe it. People cannot believe that President Obama is acting the way he acts and can't even mention the words radical Islamic terrorism. There's something going on. It's inconceivable.
Right.
There's something going on.
Well, Donald Trump, what he did do yesterday,
know
he
there's
did
gonna
refer
be-
to it as a terror strike. He did say it was a hate crime, which makes sense because Islamic extremists hate gays, and they hate Christians, and they hate Jews, and they hate women. So, you know, this is the first time we've seen something like this where they have so specifically targeted one particular demographic.
Well, I don't think it's the first time. I mean, they're looking at
It's the first time they've
what
hit a
he's done
gay
to
club in the United States.
Yeah, what he's done to the
Right.
LGBT. I mean, what he's done to the whole gay community is so shocking. Now, at least that community is going to come out. They have to be so strong and coming out and so vigilant. And what's going to happen with that community is, I think you're going to at least have now some political pressure on our politicians to do the right thing,
Right.
because that's a very large and
As
very
we know,
respected community. And it's a very large,
As
very
we know, that
respected
if you're
community.
gay
And I think you're going to see tremendous pressure now on these weak politicians that don't know what they're doing, like our president. The
Right.
man has no clue. He doesn't know what he's doing. And Hillary Clinton is going to be worse than him. She wants to increase people coming into our country from the areas I'm talking about by 500%.
Brian?
Well, Donald Trump, a couple of things. Thanks, Steve. Donald Trump, a couple of things. If you're a member of ISIS or the al-Nusra and you're gay, they throw you off buildings. They torture you in the most horrific way possible. So that thing is becoming totally clear. They are celebrating not only the killing in that club, but killing of those people who are homosexual in that club, apparently. I want to bring it to something else. You're going to make a speech today, and it's not going to be about Hillary Clinton and what you say is her corruption. It's going to be about terrorism. You spent the last 30, 40 years of your life in business. Who did you consult to putting together your anti-terrorism program that's going to be making up the backbone of this speech today?
I've had many people consulted. I've been doing it for weeks. I have some great people. In fact, I'm going to have members of the team with me. I was going to make a Hillary Clinton speech, which is easy to make because she is not the right person to be president. Believe me, she is all you have to do is speak to the Secret Service agent that, you know, that watched her and watched her under pressure. He said she was a total mess. A total mess. So I was going to do a Hillary Clinton speech.
Right.
I've changed that. We're going to be doing a speech on terror. I'm going up to New Hampshire. We're also going to have a massive rally tonight in New Hampshire. That was set up. We have thousands and thousands of people who are going to be there. And out of respect, I'm canceling that. I wanted to do it so badly, but you can't do it. I just think it's too soon.
When will you do it?
Do you have a preview? Donald Trump, do you have a preview of that speech? Give us an idea what's going to be in there. Are you calling for more spending for the FBI, more on counterterror? Are you looking to bolster up special ops, or do you have a sense of can you give us a preview of what you're going to be saying?
Yeah, I'm calling for strength. I'm calling for intelligence. And one of the things we really have to focus on is our intelligence community, because we're not getting the right intelligence. When a guy like this, who's so openly out there, can just walk up and do what he did, we need more intelligence. We need a stronger intelligence community. And the only way we can do that in this case, having to do with radical Islamic terror, and that's the point. Obama won't do that because he doesn't want to single out this group. This group is a disaster. And the only way we can do that is through intelligence. And we have great capability intelligence-wise. You know, in New York City, we had a fantastic intelligence group set up. When our new mayor, de Blasio, when he wiped it all out, it was the best in the country. He wiped it all out. He took it all out, gone, 100%. So now we don't know what's going on. That's just one example. We need very strong surveillance. We need very strong intelligence, and that's just a part of what
at the local level.
All right.
Real quickly, when will you give that Hillary Clinton speech?
I believe it's around 2 o'clock. It's going to be in New Hampshire.
Oh, so that'll be the speech today, not the Hillary Clinton speech. That'll be later.
Excuse me, you said the Hillary Clinton speech.
Yes.
That'll be sometime probably next week. I just didn't think it was appropriate to do it. Look, she's a disaster. What do I have to do? I don't even have to speak about her. She's a total disaster. She wants more people to come in now. She wants more people from Syria to come in by 500%. And again, we have no idea who they are, and many of them are worse than the guy from yesterday that created this horrible act. So she would not be good for our country, that I can tell you, folks.
Right.
She also did not mention radical Islam.
And she won't mention it because she's afraid to mention it, because her boss will be angry at her, and her boss has tremendous power over her, and you know why that is, okay?
All right. Donald Trump, in his first comments live on the air since the massacre in Orlando. Donald Trump, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll be watching.